What's up, everybody? It's KB. The Whole podcast is presented by our awesome partners over at Wasted Wedge, and a new age of golf has arrived. And if you are looking to be the talk and envy of your group and create memories with your friends and family, look no further than the lineup of Wasted Wedge products and merchandise. These Wasted Wedges are a blast to drink shots out of on and off the course. I want you to think your traditional shot ski that people were lugging around at your college parties and all over the place, and how difficult they were to store, how difficult they were to transport. Wasted Wedge is revolutionizing it. It's now a golf club. It's a wedge. It's compactable, can go right into the side pocket of a golf bag. You have extenders, and it's all plastic cups, so there's no hot glue. There's no glass that you actually have to use. They're the best in the game, and they're revolutionizing the way you're taking shots on and off the course. They're a blast, and you need to check them out. Go to wastedwedge.com. Check out all of the products that they have to offer, from the actual Wasted Wedges themselves to apparel that they have to the extenders and everything in between, to be the talk of your party, be the talk of your golf outing. And you can find them on Instagram and Facebook at Wasted Wedge. Be sure to follow them. Make sure you're letting them know that you're coming from the Get in the Hole podcast and Underground Sports Philadelphia. That's wastedwedge.com, and find them on Instagram and Facebook at Wasted Wedge. Remember the name, wastedwedge.com.
Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, your number one stop for all things in the world of golf. Watch and subscribe anywhere you get your favorite shows on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google, and more. Just search Get in the Hole. Get in the Hole is the official golf pod of the Underground Sports Philadelphia family of podcasts. Now let's get right into the action. Here's your hosts, Steve McAvoy and Ben Pirro.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Man, the final week of the PGA Tour season. I think it's kind of crazy, like, how 50 weeks can go by so quick, or like whatever it is, 45, 50 weeks. 50 events, I should say, can go by in such a quick period of time, like starting the season off in October, September, and now getting all the way up to this point. I remember last year, early on, I had said that for the President's Cup, that the international team wouldn't score a point against the U.S. And now, like, we're literally 2-3 weeks away from the Ryder Cup, and like things are piling on, and we now have a full automatic qualifier field for the USA team. Still waiting on the Europeans. We were talking about that yesterday at Bethpage. You and I played. Just like, it's really crazy, like how things have unwound, and so many first-time winners, major champions for the first time, guys who we've been waiting to break out of their shell forever. What are some of like the key memories that kind of stick out to you from this past season?
I think the biggest one for me, I think, some good, some bad. And the reason I say that, I mean, Jon Rahm winning the Masters, that was just an incredible performance. I think every single Masters is special in a certain way. There's always something memorable. It might honestly, it might not be the most great, memory, I guess, depending on what Masters you're thinking of. I mean, like when Danny Willett won, it's not really that Danny Willett won, it's that Jordan Spieth imploded in 12.
Yeah.
But honestly, just the way Jon Rahm played in that final round, and how well, especially with Brooks, and Brooks has like a bone at the time, especially had a bone to pick with everybody on the PGA Tour, on the European Tour, because he only got to play really 4 of the same events as all those other guys a year. Just the way he played, that up and down in 18, I remember he hit just like this unbelievable pitch shot over the bunker, and he didn't even have to hit that shot. I mean, he had a pretty sizable lead as it was, but it was just almost like an in your face kind of shot, like, I got this, and you don't. And to me, that was incredible. I rarely get emotional for other people who win tournaments, and I actually cried after Jon Rahm won the Masters. I've cried 2 times watching professional golf. Tiger winning the 2019 Masters, and then Jon Rahm winning the 2023 Masters. Another memory, I don't mean to be negative, is it possible that Tiger's done forever?
Yeah.
You know, it kind of looked that way. Yeah, like he's good enough to make the cut. You know, he is. He made the cut at the Masters, but withdrew. And I believe that was his final event of the year, right? Because then not too long after that, he ended up having Lisfranc surgery.
Unfamiliar, but I know he wanted to play in the Open, and like 4 days prior to the event launching, he was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, I think this might be it for Tiger, and I don't really think it was spoken enough about, because we've seen Tiger make comeback after comeback after comeback from injury, personal things, you know. And I think we've gotten so used to it, but I do think it's fair to wonder if this is just like it, you know.
I think we got to the point where we kind of almost expected more. And like I remember I was with John. We were getting bagels before a round of golf, and this was this was before the Masters last year, where he put a video up, like 30 seconds of him just hitting golf balls, and the whole world exploded. They're like, "Oh my God, Tiger's back, over the moon!" But like, come on, at the end of the day, like he even said, like, I'm shooting at like 30%. Like I saw an interview recently with him. He was talking to Colin Morikawa about like Charlie, and he was like, it's getting to the point that like Charlie hasn't beaten me yet, but it's getting close. And I don't know whether or not that's just Charlie being really good at golf now, that he's not playing the back tees like Tiger said. He's playing the forward tees a little bit, like the whites. But like the fact that your 12-year-old son is now getting to the point where might be beating the greatest golfer ever, I think it's might be a time that Tiger's on his last hinges. The question is not for me, honestly. Is he going to even bother playing in the Champions Tour?
He has no reason to. I think that would. I'm not going to equate it to like MJ going to Washington, you know, but it's just kind of like that would just be like no one wants to see Tiger. If I had my pick, if Tiger was like, I'll play in the Masters every single year, or I'll play a 50% schedule on PGA Tour Champions, I'd pick the Masters every year. I don't care about watching him play against Colin Montgomery and Bernard Longer. I don't. He'd whoop their asses. He would whoop their asses. And, you know, it would just, once again, it would drive home the point that he's the greatest golfer of all time. But he has no reason to. And
I agree.
I think it's interesting because I don't remember who said this. It might have been Colin Cowherd. I don't remember who said this, but they were like, someone said like he should have retired after he won the Masters in 19. It's really easy to look back and say that, but when you win, you want that feeling again so fucking bad. You do. You want it so badly. And he was never going to retire after winning the Masters that year. Never. Because he's like, I still got it. There was no reason for him to retire after he won that tournament. It just solidified once again. Like if there was ever a doubt for anybody, that was like the nail in the coffin. If anybody was if there were any doubters left that were like, maybe he's not the greatest of all time.
I'm very much still on that like mindset that he will win again on tour.
He won't.
And maybe it's a pipe dream, but something makes me think he's how old now? He's what, 44, 45? Like, I still think that if you give him 3 years and he only plays the majors and just does his thing, I think just course knowledge and the ability to like get around is really the biggest thing, particularly at the Masters, considering obviously all other courses change every year. But if you give him 3 years, because he's so competitive and he has that like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, like very few people possess the ability to be like to turn the switch on immediately. the fact I think it eats him out so much that he doesn't have the most wins all time. And I think he will literally fight tooth and nail, health pending, to get that win. And I think the only place it can happen, honestly, would be somewhere like the Masters, or for the sole reason that it's his tournament, Genesis. I think those are the only spots that could realistically happen for him to get 83, and then he forever calls it quits. Because there's no other reason for him to ever want to go after anything else except for that. He's already the greatest golfer of all time. He's already going to be the first person in line to take any sort of leadership role on tour, possibly commissionership from Jay Monahan if he ever wanted it. Like, everything will be handed to this guy on a silver platter, and he can live his life. He can watch Charlie, and he can watch him develop into a tour pro that hopefully he'll be. I think that's the one thing, though, is 83. I really don't know what it is. But anyways,
who's the NBA player with the most championships? Is it Wilt Chamberlain?
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell. I don't think Bill Russell having more championships than Michael or LeBron keeps Michael or LeBron up at night.
No.
That shouldn't keep Tiger up at night either.
That's a totally different scenario, though, because Bill Russell was also playing in the 60s against, like, male men.
Well,
like that whole thing.
Who was Sam Snead playing against?
Good point, but I think as an individualized sport, you could make the argument that, like, look, Bill Russell's 16 championships. I just think it's apples and oranges because, again, like, while Sam Snead wasn't playing against the most like ridiculous competition, and again, and we even say this, like, eras of golf where up until about the 2000s, it was like 8 guys every single week, like, you knew could win. And now the number's up to like 30, 40. I mean, he played, he turned pro in the mid 30s, played up until like the 50s, late 50s. So,
I mean, he had a little bit of Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson. I'm sure
early Arnold Palmer, but yeah.
And I'm sure there were comparable basketball players to those 3 guys. You know,
I'm sure. I just think it's complete, like, apples and oranges. Anyways, getting back to the point of, like, top moments, like, 3 stand out for me. It's Ricky Fowler's win at the Rocket Mortgage. Because I don't think it was necessarily, like, it wasn't a loaded field, but it was like the get back to be like, all right, he finally has a win under his belt. You kind of, like, saw the semblance of really good golf, and it really all started out with his change back to his old coach 12 months ago. Like, you saw a complete 180 in his game. He's now top 50, top 20, top 30 in every single strokes gain category. He had been building up to that point at least, for a good month and a half up until then. Other memories for me, I didn't watch a lot of tournaments this year. The one that I vividly remember watching on TV and, like, sticking out to me was Max Homa's win at, I think it was the Farmers, because I think it was Jim Nance who said that there's something about Max Homa where he plays his best golf in the events with the biggest hype and the biggest fields. And I think he had another one, I think the 40 net prior to that, but his win at the Farmers he was neck and neck with John Rahm. He was right there with Rory. He had beaten out Ricky earlier in the day. Spieth was also in contention, and he just blew everybody out of the water. And he played the last 5 holes up like 5 strokes, and you're just watching like majestic golf. He was pin hunting the whole entire time, hitting every single green, making every putt. The guy couldn't be stopped, and he looked literally unstoppable. That was one of the moments that kind of stood out to me, that Max Homa is now one of the top 15, 20 golfers in the world, and he can hang with literally anybody. It used to kind of be he was the Twitter guy, and he was a good golfer, not a great golfer. Now he's actually a solidified top 20 golfer. Probably the biggest moment, though, was Brooks Koepka winning the PGA, especially after what we saw in full swing, where he was like a depressed manic, and it was just like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I can't compete with these guys anymore. The fact that he was able to go out there and win a major after the whole world saw him in his most vulnerable state, for a guy who would never show sympathy, and, like, you could see it in his body language and his face and his physique, does not seem like a weak guy at all. Showing that vulnerability was really big, and I think getting that win at the PGA was huge for not only him but also just for his own credibility. People critiqued him a lot for jumping to LIV, saying that he couldn't handle the competition anymore.
Oh, those were interesting.
Thanks.
No problem.
Let's get into it. The final leg of the PGA Tour season comes to its apex, the Tour Championship this week at East Lake Country Club in East Atlanta. Ben Pirro, Stephen McAvoy here on the Get in the Hole podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Wasted Wedge. The new era in golf has arrived. Check them out, wastedwedge.com. The shot ski turned golf club is now sweeping the nation. So get on the horse, pick up your Wasted Wedge before the summer runs out. Your best friend from the first hole to the 18th green. Check them out, wastedwedge.com. Remember that name, folks, wastedwedge.com. Ben, we played golf yesterday.
I was waiting for you to bring this up. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I got to know a lot about you yesterday, both as an individual on the golf course and your eating habits off the course. I've never seen someone like inhale a steak sandwich like you did.
Okay, I'm interested actually because I'm sure the audience is now interested. What did you learn about me? Everything. Everything.
Well, all right. I mean, I'm not going to get into our personal discussions that we had, but like you're very calculated in the way you play golf.
I told you that already, but okay.
No. But like seeing it up close in person, like where was I? I was on the left side of the fairway, and you were off to the right. It was like the second or third hole. And I remember you're like standing there and just like muttering to yourself. And I asked you afterwards, I go, what are you saying? He goes, oh, I'm like thinking through what I'm going to do. I talking to myself about my routine. I was like, oh, pretty interesting way to like go about things. I never thought about that from a golfer's perspective. Of course, you weren't giving it your all. I know you weren't. You said you had your C- game out, which is why you only beat me by 27 strokes total.
Well, I was giving it my all. It was just very difficult to focus when you play with two guys that didn't break 100 after like 14 holes, and then you who got 98.
Hey, I shot a net 80 though.
Yeah, sure.
No, admittedly I didn't play that well, but I think just, and I'm not going to blame it on anything except for myself, but the greens at Bethpage are very hard for me to read. And I feel like at like your other like run of the mill like munis, I can get the pacing down pretty well, and there isn't a lot of break. I always underestimate the break and the pace at Bethpage, and I was bitching every putt. Like I had no idea what I was doing on the greens, and it really did hurt my score a lot.
Yeah, no, your putting was horrendous. But
No.
it's interesting that you said that you learned that about me, even though I definitely have said on this podcast before, like that I talk to myself during my routine. I'm sure I've said that before. I'm sure.
You also said a multitude of other things that you were like, oh, I told you this in the past. I was like, oh, really? So clearly I'm just forgetting things. But yeah, you're very calculated. Watching your warm up was very interesting. We had only played once prior at Swamps on a par 3. And
the day that you and John showed up an hour and a half late. Yeah,
sure. But I've never seen somebody, and I've only ever been to one PGA Tour event, so I haven't really been able to see it like super up close. But to watch you just compress the golf ball is just so impressive, because like the ball flight is just crazy. But yeah, just like very small takeaways that I'm going to now carry into my game and slow down my game and think about things a certain way and warm up a certain way. I'm going to pick from you a little bit.
Yeah, it's good. I like that. Yeah, no, so we played yesterday, and, Steven, technically people call BS on this. My handicap index is 0.0. That's also maybe because I don't really post scores anymore because I don't have to.
Yeah.
The head pro today was like, that's crap. You're a +2. And I was supposed to give Steven 16 shots. I gave him 18 because I wanted to be somewhat competitive. And we played match play to make it more competitive that way. If he made an 8 and I made a 3, he wasn't going to be down 5. He was only down 1.
Yeah, exactly.
I ended up winning 4 and 2. I made 6 birdies and an eagle and shot even par.
That's the worst part, honestly.
No, the worst part is that you lost by 27 shots to me. That's the worst part.
I didn't expect much less, honestly.
And
my average score this year is a 93. So I went 5 over my typical score. And even then, when you think about it, you would have then still beaten me by 22 strokes. So
were you nervous to play with me?
No. It was more so actually I was just trying, at least in the beginning, I was almost trying too hard, and it was screwing me up. Once I got about 3 or 4 holes in, I kind of relaxed a little bit, and you definitely saw it more towards the back 9, because I 3-putted, I think, 4 of the first 7 holes, and I usually don't 3-putt ever. Like the one part of my game that I am the most confident in and the absolute best at is my putting, and I basically 2-putt every single hole. Getting there is a different story, but at least when I'm on the green, I'm at least like serviceable enough that I can make it. I 3-putted way too much, and it fucked me over so heavily. Think about it, like right there, four times I 3-putted. I think I might have 3-putted 5 or 6 times the whole day. That's 6 strokes that I could have gotten back, and I could have very well shot 92 or 93.
Yeah, I could tell when you were putting, like warming up when you were putting, I was like, oh, he's not going to putt well today. I could just tell. I tell.
I honestly don't know what it was. I guess from the get-go, I just wasn't really in a great headspace.
No, you weren't. You know, I could definitely tell I was getting in your kitchen a little bit, and you know that's okay. You know, I mean, not everybody's as mentally tough as I am, but no, you did okay. You know, you did all right. You know, you nailed that tree though on number 8.
I did.
And I don't know if I said this to you or not. Because like I know like at this point we're 8 holes in. I know your ball flight at this point. Like it starts left and it cuts to the right, and sometimes you overcut it. You rarely hit a left ball, and so I'm watching you set up, and I'm just like, "Oh, this thing's going in the fucking tree." I just knew it because the tree was right in front of you, and you had to like basically hit a right to left shot, which you don't have in the bag, and so. I just like pulled out my phone because I was like, there's nothing funnier to me than when I hear a golf ball just crack against a tree. Not like branches, just like pow. Like and you're like you hit the shot and you're like, where'd it go? And I was like, it's over there. Oh, it was so fun.
I knew it was not going anywhere. Hold on, here. I want to try and get the sound here.
Oh no! I want to post.
just a plunk.
It was so funny.
And the best part is your laugh afterwards. I don't even know where it went. And you're like, it's over there. You had to have watched the video also like 5 times.
I showed everybody at the club today.
Are you serious?
Oh, I showed a lot of people.
You're a dick.
They thought it was hilarious.
You're embarrassing.
This is what you get when you're friends with me. I don't understand like what you.
Yeah, I know. Like, I should honestly expect far less.
You're thinking like, 2 years or whatever, however long we've been actual friends, that I'm just gonna like change. Like this is what you get with me. Like I'm not gonna change. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you get with me. I am a professional ball buster, and this is it. This is what you have to accept.
You are a professional ball buster, and I am a professional bullshitter. So two complete morons in one group. Let's get into the actual golf.
By the way,
Yeah.
One other thing. I played another match today, and we were 2 down at one point because I had to give a gazillion shots to these guys in my group today. Your boy made an 18-footer for birdie down the hill, left to right on the first playoff hole for the win.
Shit.
Threw my hat and everything.
Be honest with me. The 2 pars. So I was down 5 with 5 to play.
Yeah.
The 2 pars that I made on the subsequent holes on, was it 14, 15? Pretty impressive, right? You were like, damn, is he turning the gears on?
No, because 14. No, because 14, you came up like 30 yards short, and then you hit finally a good pitch shot, and you made a putt for once. And
No. 14 was the par 3 that I was like 10 yards right and short.
You were more than 10. You were like 30 yards short of that pin.
Oh, all right, yeah, of the pin. I'm saying of like off the green. So off the green, pitched it up, hit a decent 6-footer.
Yeah, you made that. Congratulations. And
then 15 tee shot right into the woods, smacked a low 8-iron to about like 50 yards, and then put it to about like 10 feet and nailed it.
I mean, congratulations. You made 2 pars. I'm really proud of you. But anyway, I made 6 birdies and an eagle, so whatever. But anyway, let's get to the golf.
You also made 8 bogeys. So.
It doesn't matter. I still kicked your ass by 27 shots.
And once again,
could you imagine if I'd actually like played well?
Oh, look, you would have killed me. And
you will agree, I did not play well yesterday.
No,
I did not.
No, you pushed probably 5 tee shots. 5 or 6.
I didn't hit anything. I really didn't do anything well. After those guys left, though, I thought it was very indicative that I made probably the easiest eagle of all time on 17, hitting driver 9-iron to 8 feet and draining it, and then hitting my tee shot on 18, 360, and pitching it to like a foot and tapping it in. After those guys left, my game completely tightened up, like in a good way.
18 was more like 335, and then about a 35-yard pitch shot. But yeah,
I know it wasn't, because it was. I measured it was 351 on a straight line to the pin.
Shit, really?
And yeah, so suck my nuts, Steven. You know what you're talking about. Anyway, let's get back to the real stuff.
So as we left the clubhouse after you inhaled a steak and arugula sandwich,
so good.
Viktor Hovland came out of basically nowhere to crown himself the BMW champion. 61, breaks the course record, upsets Scotty Scheffler by about 3 strokes. We're going to talk about Scotty in a little bit. I was shocked because he was, I think, like 4th or 5th on the board. Matt Fitzpatrick, who you said was going to win this week, had a masterful day. He went all the way from like 40th in the FedEx Cup standings, like 10th. He finished 2nd by, again, 2 strokes. But Viktor Hovland, a 61 to go under the card, 10 under on the day. Just a wild performance from him. We obviously don't have any takeaways. We didn't watch the event, so we weren't able to give any sort of analysis, although you can probably break down how bad I played in comparison to Viktor Hovland yesterday.
Yeah, for sure.
But regardless, we'll highlight that, but also move into the actual topic of conversation here is who's in and who's out for the Tour final. A few names that shot up and down the board, a lot of movement on the final day. Matt Fitzpatrick jumped 30 spots to the 10 spot. Sahith Theegala, he started at 31st. He finished at 31st. Chris Kirk is out. Jordan Spieth, basically by the skin of his teeth, honestly, gets into the Tour final as the 29th ranked player in the FedEx Cup standings. Tyrrell Hatton 28th and 30th, rounding out the rounding out the back of the pack is Sepp Straka, who dropped like I think 6 spots on the final day. He went, I think, 4 over. Yeah, like a rough closeout for Sepp Straka. Emiliano Grillo dropped a good, I think, 4 or 5 spots. Tyrrell Hatton 28th, Spieth 29-30 for Straka. Danny McCarthy, really good year, but misses out at 33rd. Chris Kirk 32nd. Justin Rose will also miss his first FedEx Cup at 34th. A few other names that stood out to me. Cameron Young, who also had a very good year, didn't seem to get it turned on the last month or so. He finished 42nd and well off. And, of course, Hideki Matsuyama your guy withdrew after I believe this before the second round, and he finished out last in the standings this week. So give me your reaction. Some guys who are in, some guys who are out. Who shocked you? Who did not?
I'm pretty shocked about Hideki. I mean, I've been really riding the Hideki train for a while now, and I'm not sure why he withdrew. Do you know why?
I believe it was due to an injury.
I thought so. Okay, I had a feeling. Obviously, you never want to see that. We don't want to see anybody withdraw, especially due to injury. So hopefully that's not a serious thing. Hopefully it hasn't been bothering him at all. I hope it's not. That's not what led to kind of a down year.
Can't confirm real fast. There was a back injury, which is first of all a challenging thing for a golfer. He said that he hasn't had consistent issues, but it has been a slightly lingering issue throughout the year, more so like light back pains. He actually also snaps the longest tour championship streak of 9 straight seasons in the final.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So big loss for Hideki. Actually, it's funny. The 2 longest streaks have now been snapped. It was Matsuyama and JT who had 7 years straight. So,
are you done yet?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. So for me, Hideki, pretty disappointing. Hopefully, whatever the back issue is, he gets sorted out going into next year. But if it's just minimal tightness and light pain, it shouldn't be anything too major. Obviously, I am shocked. I'm shocked that Jordan Spieth made it into the Tour Championship. I called him a pretender. I really do think that I am in the right by saying he is a pretender. He has done next to nothing the past 2 weeks to really warrant being anything other than a pretender. Denny McCarthy, honestly, the start that he got off to this year, I'm pretty surprised he's not in. But hey, this just shows the level of consistency that you have to have. And he's a really good putter, but there are other parts of your game that have to be really good as well, especially to be top 30 in anything for a prolonged period of time, right? Other than that, I mean, nothing else was too shocking. Disappointed to see Justin Rose not in it. He's got such a sweet swing, but, I do think he's on the back end of his career a little bit. He's definitely he's been doing this for a while. And when you're that old and you have that many miles and that many golf swings, 34th, I believe is what he finished, is nothing to frown about or anything. I think, obviously he's disappointed. Other than that though, that's pretty much it. I'm so happy Matt Fitzpatrick made it though. I am so happy. I thought he was going to win. But unfortunately he didn't, but hey, he's got another week. So one more week.
I'm not going to jot it up to be a surprise because at the end of the day, they are still top 50 golfers in the world. And to make the top 30, I think this is where the surprise lies. With the talent pool that's in golf now, clearly, and we're seeing it as we had mentioned. There's 40 some odd guys every week who could win. The top 30 to make it in and of itself, and the guys who are just outside on the bubble are all very talented players. I am surprised though at the end of the day. Without a win, Adam Schenk put up a quietly very strong year. And a win doesn't guarantee you a spot here. Obviously, there was, I think, 7 or 8 guys who had a win this year, including Kirk, Rose, Kirk Kitayama, Adam Svensson, Lee Hodges, and Seamus Power, and then a couple others who had wins and did not qualify. But between Taylor Moore, whose sole win came at the Valspar this year, Nick Taylor, who won in the latter half of the year, Adam Schenk, even Sanjay M, who for the last 2 years has been the most birdies and most bogeys on tour. He manages to finish top 20. A couple of guys who I was a little bit surprised about because you didn't hear much about them, particularly Adam Schenk, as somebody who had a good year, finished 23rd, finished ahead of guys like Colin Morikawa and Jason Day, even Sam Burns, and of course Jordan Spieth. And without a win, without multiple consistent back-to-back weeks in the top 10, still managed to sneak through the year with 6 top 10s, He's 43rd right now in the OWGR. He had 2 runner-ups, which when watching, I didn't even realize what was there. 15 top 10 finishes this in his career, and 6 of them coming this year. So pretty damn good performance for Adam Schenk, the 31-year-old, somebody who I wasn't expecting to have been so well off this year. With that being said, though, let's kind of dig into. We'll talk more about that kind of whole field and get into the aggregate scoring and other things as we actually discuss on the other side the Tour Championship itself. But before we get into that good stuff, the Ryder Cup's officially set. We have 6 automatic qualifiers. There's 6 captain's picks. We were talking about it at lunch before we hit the course that Xander Schauffele needed a solo 9th or better, and Max Homa needed a solo 7th or better in order for Brooks Koepka to get out of the top 6. Lo and behold, it happened. So now Brooks Koepka sits at 7th in the U.S. Ryder Cup standings. We have our 6 guys: Scotty Scheffler, Wyndham Clark, Brian Harman, Max Homa, Xander Schauffele, and Patrick Cantlay. We have 6 spots up for grabs. As of right now, who are you taking? Is Brooks in? Are any other live guys in contention based on previous performances in Ryder Cups? Where's your mind at right now?
Okay, you want my 6 that I would pick as captain's picks?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I'm taking Brooks for sure. He's 7th, and he really only has 4 events that have counted towards these points.
One of them being a win.
So think about that for a second. Just think about that, okay? So I would take Brooks. I would take Morikawa. I would take I don't know how Spieth and Cameron Young are ahead of Ricky on the points list. I have no idea how that's possible, but somehow that is. So for me, I'm taking Brooks. I'm taking Morikawa. I'm taking Ricky for sure. I would take. I would take Keegan Bradley. Wait, did I ever say Keegan?
No,
I didn't. I said Brooks, Morikawa, Fowler, Keegan Bradley. I would take Sam Burns. And I would have to go. I go with Danny McCarthy.
I have a very interesting pull for my guys. So I'm 100% taking Brooks. And I would put Brooks, honestly, like on the top line with guys playing singles. Like you put Brooks against like a Rory or a John Rahm. I think it's a very competitive match. I am on the fence with what other live guys should get in. Obviously, we don't have the numbers because of the fact that they didn't like qualify, obviously, PGA Tour events aside from the majors. But there are some compelling names that they aren't necessarily even in the top 25 of the standings. But Dustin Johnson has finished top 25 in every live event this year, albeit a 48-man field, but still finishing at relatively good numbers. Bryson DeChambeau, if you look back to the beginning of April, has finished no worse than 19th, and he has 5 top 5s. I don't know anything about the courses they're playing at aside from like Valderrama and the Centurion Club. Like for all I know, playing Trump Bedminster, like you're playing like a fucking Muni. Like I don't know what the slope is, what the ratings are. But what I can tell you is if you're finishing top 5 in events, there is still PGA talent that you like PGA Tour level talent that you're playing against. I think you might want to consider somebody like a Bryson DeChambeau, particularly also he shot, I don't know, a 58. It's pretty damn impressive for somebody who sprays the ball all over the golf course. San Marcos in Rome is a relatively wide course, the larger kind of course. It might actually be advantageous for someone like Bryson DeChambeau to be on the team because he can hit it far, and it's an advantage to have. My 6, though, Brooks, Colin, Ricky are easy. Spieth's been so wildly inconsistent that I don't know if I can I mean, I'm probably going to wind up taking him solely because his putter is really good. And we had said this at lunch. Jordan Spieth and the same thing with Scottie Scheffler over the last 3 weeks has been losing strokes. Sorry, the opposite of Scottie Scheffler. I'm talking about a different situation. Jordan Spieth over the last 6 weeks has lost strokes in every single part of the golf course except for putting. He will lose 4 strokes on the course tee to green, but he'll gain back 7 on the green, and he'll finish like a +3. When you look at the final number, you're like, oh, cool, he's gaining 3 strokes. Yeah, it's because he's the best putter on tour. Like, it makes sense. He's nailing 25 footers. He doesn't need to worry about proximity to the hole, which he isn't even well rated at this year. His approach game has been terrible. His driving accuracy has been balls. I don't know if I can trust Jordan Spieth, but I want him taking him because of the putter. And if you put him in a 4-ball, I think he'll do pretty well. If you pair him up with someone like actually, I don't know who he'd even match up with. Maybe Homa, Cantlay would make sense. But I digress. My 5th guy is Denny, and honestly, my 6th guy is Bryson as of right now, for the sole reason that it's advantageous for Zach Johnson to have someone who can hit it far. And despite the disadvantages he's had with regulations of the USGA in putting, he's gotten better, and I think it might help the team very well. I think Dustin Johnson's also there. Sam Burns is on the nose. Depending how Sam Burns plays this week is actually where I would consider him for the team. Definitely. What do you think? Like, thoughts on my live idea?
That was a jumbled mess.
Thank you. Oh my God, my ears blew up.
Shut up. Nobody cares. That's my buddy. We're going fishing tomorrow.
That's awesome. I love fishing. No, I'm just so enthusiastic about it. I haven't been fishing in so long, and I asked my friends to go one day, and they were like, no, fuck you. And I'm like, it's so fun to go fishing. I haven't gone fishing since my grandpa died, like 6 years ago. And like I've been like itching to go out, but no one wants to go with me.
I'll go with you.
Let's go out soon.
Okay.
Do you think any live guys aside from Brooks should get it? Might even be considered. What do you think Zach Johnson's thinking about?
No, because here's the thing. With captain's picks, just because they're really good doesn't mean you have to pick them. And the thing is, Bryson is such a pain in the ass. I truly do not believe the guys would want him on that team. He is such a pain in the ass. I would, if he was my 4-ball partner, do you think he and I would get along?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really see anybody that really likes him. I don't know of any tour players that actually like Bryson.
You don't think Bryson and Brooks in a 4-ball would be hilarious?
No, and I would only be picking Brooks just so I could pair him up against Rory every single chance I get.
Well, there you have it. We're going to take a short break. On the other side, we're going to discuss all things East Lake, scout the field, talk aggregate scoring, and, of course, give you our picks this week. We're 40 minutes in, 20 more to go right here. Welcome back into the Get in the Hole podcast. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy here discussing the Tour Championship, the final week of the PGA Tour season. And we start, as we always do, with scouting our fields. You want to take a look at our previous discussions the last 2 years. If we've chatted all about the conditions at East Lake, how things are shaking up. Pretty bare bones, what we usually are used to, nice and sunny weather. You know all the details to the golf course. We're mainly focusing in, though, on the guys who are in the field this week. We start with the aggregate scoring. So based on Viktor Hovland's win, he jumps all the way to number 2 in the standings. I'll read it off here, and if you need me to repeat, I will. We'll start Scottie Scheffler. We'll start in the number 1 spot at 10 under the card. Viktor Hovland 8 under, Rory 7, Rahm 6, Glover 5, and then grouped in the number 7 through 10 ranked players at 4 under. That's Homa, Cantlay, Harmon, Clark, and Fitzpatrick. At 3 under, we've got Fleetwood, Henley, Bradley, Fowler, and Schauffele. At 2 under, we have Tom Kim, Sungjae Im, Tony Finau, Corey Connors, and Siwoo Kim. And at 1 under, Taylor Moore, Nick Taylor, Adam Schenk, Colin Morikawa, and Jason Day, with Sam Burns, Griot, Hatton, Spieth, and Straka 26 through 30, starting at an even par this week. I don't know if I had you on the last time we had an event at East Lake. We might have. I don't totally recall. What's your opinion on the aggregate scoring? Is it a big advantage for the guys all the way up top? Is it an advantage for the guys in the middle? Maybe the guys in front get a little complacent. Is it almost impossible for the guys at the very back to try and work their way all the way up to 10 under par? What's your opinion on the aggregate scoring and how much of an advantage or disadvantage it might be for somebody?
I mean, it's always an advantage when you're starting 10 shots in front of somebody, like it's like if you had a NASCAR race and someone started halfway down the track already, like if you give someone a 50% head start, that's a huge advantage. I think that it definitely makes it tougher the further back you are to win. I personally believe that they would just get rid of it and go back to what they used to do. That's what I wish that they would do. But that's never going to happen at this point. I don't think guys at the front, though, would get complacent. You have, $15 million up for grabs this week?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Guys aren't going to be getting complacent. It puts the guys that are behind them, though, with really a serious issue, which is why I believe you shouldn't get penalized for playing well all year. And that's exactly what this is doing. So that's what I think.
But not to say that, let's say like Lucas Glover at 5 under can't very well get to 8 under par relatively quickly if Viktor Hovland falls off. Like a 2 to 3 stroke lead in golf is almost nothing of that when you kind of break it down. Depending on
the 10 shots is.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the difference also between a Scotty Scheffler and a, let's say, Emiliano Grillo is quite a relatively big gap. But like if you look at it from a perspective, of Scotty Scheffler to Jon Rahm, right? 10 under to 6 under. What's the more likely scenario that Jon Rahm catches up or Scotty Scheffler falls down, or at some point over a 4-round weekend, we see 3 or 4 guys here in this top 10 very well in contention?
I mean, look, it's anybody who is within 5 of the lead. Basically, it's very reasonable to assume that they could make a serious run. And if you told me that Homa, Cantley, Fitzpatrick, Ricky, like those guys are 4 and 3 under par, if you told me that they ended up contending, I would not be surprised.
Even like someone like Xander Schauffele, who's at 3 under. If you look at just the odds, and of course we'll get more into this as we go, but when you look at the odds board, like Schauffele and Cantley, who are and even Max Homa for that matter, who are at 4 and 3 under par respectively, are higher up on the board than a Fitzpatrick or even a Brian Harman, a Lucas Glover, even Wyndham Clark. So these like guys who are ahead of them in the overall category are claiming that they have a much better shot, probably because of their acumen and their ability to actually play this golf course. And someone like Xander Schauffele, who's won here before and has won a title, somebody who knows the golf course, obviously the ability to have course knowledge and to work your way around the golf course, particularly one designed by someone so famous, and kind of in the sense that the idea of horses for courses and guys who play well in certain designs makes sense. So that's why Schauffele's higher up. But I think it's a compelling argument to ask, like, can Lucas Glover get close despite the hot hand, or could somebody down at the 2 under range, maybe a Tom Kim, overtake him in the first 2 days? Seems very likely. Seems like a very likely outcome. When you look at the overall field itself, 2 names obviously stick out towards the very top. That's Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. I pointed this out to you at lunch. Again, talked a lot at lunch. They both made a putting change, basically polar opposites. Scotty Scheffler changed from a Scotty Cameron to a TaylorMade Spider. Rory, the absolute opposite. A total 180 from what they've been doing for the last few years. claimed that they wanted to shake things up. The putting numbers haven't been all that great. You said that in times like this, why the hell would you change your putter? For someone like Scotty Scheffler, who he missed 9 putts between 4 and 8 feet yesterday, which is a staggering number to think about. How you're in contention, you're in first place going into the day, and you wound up losing it by 3 because you can't make a 4-foot putt. Do you think this is risky business for the both of them? And it's been the last 2 weeks, of course, but the third week, you said it would take you about 2 weeks to get used to a new putter. This third week, do you think they can figure it out and it's not a major risk for them?
I mean, maybe. I think it's just kind of crazy that they would choose to switch now. I mean, I feel like that's more of an off-season thing. I mean, they've both had very good years to this point. I just think it's kind of crazy. Rory has a history of changing putters. I remember one year at the Travelers, he played with a different putter every single day, and he putted like shit every single day. Putting's confidence. That's really what it is. You can have you can have a crappy setup, you can have a crappy stroke, you can have crappy alignment, and you can still make putts if you're confident. Okay? As long as you do the same thing every time, you can be very confident and make a lot of putts. I've done that before. Okay? These guys this is the most important part of the season, with the exception of the majors. I mean, they should have had this should be figured out by now. They should not have changed. I think it's very risky. Ride it out. It's not the putter, it's the puttee, okay? I think that's generally, as the saying, that's I mean, seriously, that's generally how it goes. I don't know. I don't agree with it. I don't. I think it was a dumb decision by both of them. I think it's cost Scotty a win. And I love Scotty, but I didn't love that decision.
Yeah, no, I think it's certainly a risk. I mean, they played relatively well in terms of the BMW. Scotty went 4 under, 1 under, 6 under, 5 under. But again, that final day, you miss 2. Could have made 2 more putts and could have very well won the whole thing. Rory did finish 4th, but like a relatively rough putting day in rounds 2 and 3. Only a collective 3 under par. A lot of bogeys from him. Something that's kind of been a maiming of him, at least over the last few years. He always makes plenty of birdies, but he always makes plenty of bogeys to boot. I think they'll both be fine. They both finished in the top 10 in each of the last 2 events, so it shouldn't be a huge thing. I think at the end of the day, these guys know what they're looking for, and maybe a change from what's actually more interesting is the idea that they're changing, and you can probably give more insight here. Scotty is changing from a blade to a mallet as opposed to Rory going from a mallet to a blade, 2 very different kinds of putters. You might not think it as the average Joe on the surface, but mallet putter has a little bit more oomph to it because you're getting more weight behind it. The blade also gives you a little bit more. I don't know. Is the blade, you could toe it or you could heel it, and it won't be as effective. It won't be as much of a mishit. Is that what it is, or am I thinking of the mallet?
So basically, here's the thing. With a blade, it depends on if it's counterbalanced or toe balanced, okay? Yeah. So you can check that by, you hold a putter on your finger. If the toe goes down, that means it's toe balanced. But face kind of stays up this way, that means it's more counterbalanced. A counterbalanced face, you want more of a straight back, straight through kind of stroke. That's like your typical mallet. Generally speaking, okay? I'm sure that there are toe-balanced mallets or whatever. Who knows? Maybe that's what they're using. But for argument's sake, if you're going to use a counterbalanced putter where the weight is evenly distributed, essentially, that's more of a straight-back, straight-through kind of stroke. When you have a toe-balanced putter, so the toe is going to swing this way, right? It's going to open, close, open, close. You want a putter that it's more of an arc, okay? Yep. Because that allows the putter to open and close. Open and close. I swear to God, if my Snapchat goes off again, I'm going to throw my phone.
Popular man.
Yeah, unfortunately. But if you're going from a blade to a mallet or vice versa, your stroke is going to have to change a little bit.
Exactly.
So that's why I think it's such a bad idea. This is more of an end of the year kind of thing. Or unless you've become the second coming of Lucas Glover and you absolutely suck at putting, then I would change it during season. But I don't think either of them have that issue. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. We're going to take one final break. Gave a pretty good outline. Other side, stats you need to know this week for Eastlake, and of course, our beer money picks. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks. $18 million are on the line. The final half of the show here, breaking down Eastlake a little bit more in depth, and of course, giving you our picks in beer money. Eastlake Golf Club, to give you a little bit of a review here. 7,300 yards, par 70. Ben, a new kind of grass that I know nothing about. I'm curious if you have any insight here. The course, like I said, 7,300 yards. 8 of the 12 par 4s playing over 440 yards. It is a big boy. Both par 4s under 600 yards, so relatively gettable. Donald Ross design, as well as updated by Robert Trent Jones. You know both of their names quite well. Now, the grass here, Bermuda greens, 2.5-inch Bermuda grass rough. Fairways are Zoysia grass. Do you have any idea what that is?
You've never heard of Zoysia grass?
No, never have, no. I see plenty of bent, Bermuda, POA, never heard of Zoysia grass.
Oh my gosh. My grandparents have Zoysia grass in their yard.
There you go.
Yeah, so Zoysia grass, in my opinion, is the best grass to hit off of. The ball literally always sits up. People think bent grass is the best grass to hit off of. Nuh-uh. Zoysia is the best. You will literally never have a bad lie. And it's also nice. Not only is the ball set up, the grass is nice and soft too. So the club cuts through it beautifully. You literally will never get a bad lie in the fairway unless you somehow hit it into a divot. So yes, it's fantastic. I played in it. First I ever played on Zoysia was in Arkansas, actually.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Now, like how for a golf course that is difficult in its undulations, it's very hilly, it's a relatively long golf course. Is this more of a? I mean, it's a clear advantage because the balls are going to be sitting up at all times, but it isn't necessarily if anything, it's a advantage for players, correct? It wouldn't lead to any sort of disadvantages elsewhere, right?
No, not at all. And just so you know, the course is long for you. Guys like me, that's not that long. Okay. Anyway.
Hype yourself up, Ben.
I know.
Cut it out.
I had a long day. I'm tired, so.
So have I, which is why I'm trying to round the show out a little bit faster than I usually do. Although I want to give it the tender love and care that it actually does deserve. With that being said, though, we're going to get into our beer money picks here, brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer. The less calories than a Bud Light, and honestly, a way better taste. Go check them out. KenwoodBeer.com. Find the candy tracker. You can find them at your local Whole Foods. And, of course, you go to the pack, you'll find Kenwood Beer right on the shelf. Brand new redesign. And, of course, get in on the merchandise. They now have their beer golf collection. Beautiful stuff. KenwoodBeer.com. Check them out. A little bit different. We usually do a top 20. Only 30 guys in the field this week. Your pick to finish outside of the top 20 this week. This is kind of like the guy, I don't know if you know this, at West Point. If you graduate last in your class, you get a scholarship because it's so challenging to do. To finish outside of the top 20, I feel like is a pretty hard thing when all 30 golfers are pretty damn talented. Who are you going to take, though, to finish outside of the top 20 this week?
This is a hard one, man. I'm going to go with Brian Harmon to finish outside the top 20. And I love me some Brian Harmon. He's a Georgia boy. He's a Georgia Bulldog, local kid. I just don't see it for him this week. I don't. He's going to be – I'm looking. I also want to go a little out on a limb when I do these picks. Like, I don't want to just say, Sepp Strack is going to finish outside the top 20. I want to, give it a little bit of,
yeah.
The probability of that happening might not be as high. But It's an interesting pick. So I'd go. I'd go Brian Harmon, finish outside the top 20.
I initially actually had Taylor Moore on my list here, which again, like you said, could kind of be called a layup pick, considering he's I think he's 21st right now, so like he's already like on the precipice. I'm gonna go out on a slight limb and take somebody who has not been at this golf course in almost a decade. I'm going to take Lucas Glover to fall all the way out of the top 20. I think that the competition here is incredibly stiff, which obviously for a final where $18 million is on the line, I think it only makes sense. Something about his come up and his 6.5, 7 weeks where he's been so freaking good, I think at some point has to die out. And I'm just waiting for that moment. I think he'll finish outside of the top 20 this week. Your top 10 pick.
I was gonna say a good bet would be to see. I've watched Taylor Moore play. We could honestly set like an over under on how many clubs he's gonna throw.
We can do that. We can do props. You let me know. We'll do it.
Oh man. What was it? Top 10?
Yes, sir.
Top 10. I'm going to go with my man Tom Kim. Currently starting a tied for 16th at -2. Looking for some of that old Tom Kim magic from last year to resurface. I think what a better time to do it than for him to get a top 10 here at East Lake, starting at T16 on Thursday.
I'm gonna join you at somebody who's T16, but not Tom Kim. I'm gonna take Corey Connors.
Okay.
He is, over the last 7 weeks, the straightest driver of the golf ball, and I think that's going to be great at this golf course. Very narrow fairways, a lot of undulations going up and down the fairway, a lot of right to left breaks too, where if you get a bad bounce, you're going to wind up in that 2.5-inch rough. I really do like Corey Connors here for a top 10. Very solid play. He's 2 under the card. A early putting performance from him is really going to go a long way. Top 5.
All right, top 5. Yeah, by the way, just so you know, if you go on YouTube and you search Taylor Moore, then you put space, literally the first thing comes up is club throw.
All right. So set the over under here, Len.
It really just depends. Like, I mean, I remember I watched him play in Savannah, and I was in college. I just decided to go down because it was spring break, and he really made just like not a good bogey. He had like a wedge in his hand or something, and he ended up making a really just ugly bogey. He takes his club and he just underhands it, but this thing like spent a solid 5 seconds in the air, and like the blade like dug into the ground. Like it was actually kind of fucking hilarious.
Well, is it too much to go 4.5?
That's too much.
2.5.
Yeah, I'd say that's about right. That's fine.
2.5 fair. We'll call the over under 2.5.
Yeah.
2.5. Yeah. So that'll be almost one a day, which he has to have at least one decent round where he doesn't chuck it somewhere. So that makes sense. Anyhow, please, your top 5.
I'm sorry, my top 5. My top 5, I'm gonna go with our man Wyndham Clark, who really let some lady have it on Twitter this past week.
That was an all-time tweet.
What did he say? How many majors do you have, bitch?
Yeah. So someone tweeted out on Twitter. It was imagine having sex and he says, say my name, but his name's Wyndham. And he goes, how many majors you have won? How many majors have you won, bitch?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wyndham Clark. He won on a big stage this year at LACC. Another big stage. That stupid chick on Twitter fired him up. You could tell there was some veracity with that tweet.
She got wild
coming in hot with the top 5, baby.
She got wildly ratioed. 4.9 thousand likes to 22.5. Get ratioed, bitch. All right. I'll take Max Homa for a top 5. Finished top 5 this past week. He starts at 4 under the card. I think that he will easily move up this week. I think he'll certainly be in contention. And I really do think a serious run at the Cup is a very, very gettable thing for someone like Max Homa. So I'll run a top 5 for him. I believe that number is plus 200, I believe, for a top 5. So pretty good money on that one. Your gimme pick this week.
All right, my gimme pick, really uninspiring. Colin Morikawa finishes top 15, baby. Get it done.
Mine is also incredibly uninspiring. Jordan Spieth will not crack the top 20. He's already in the way back. No. But look, he's already in the way back, and you only literally need 2 strokes to reach the top 20. I still don't think he'll get there. Even if guys like Nick Taylor and Adam Schenk and Sam Burns, Jason Day, even like a Tony Finau who hasn't had a great last month or so, even if they fall back, I still don't think Jordan Spieth is going to get anywhere close to the top of this board. So I'm all out on Jordan, particularly even just watching him this past week. I'm just uninspired by his golf. Your winning pick, of course, in a 30-man field, I want to kind of get a little bit of a few different ideas. Give me 3 guys with your last name being your outright pick, but 3 guys you think have a really good shot this week.
All right, guys that I think have a really good shot this week. I'm going to go with Ricky Fowler, right? Well, one of them. Ricky Fowler. This isn't just comeback player of the year. It's like the year of destiny. Okay? I think there's a chance that he could win this event. He's starting out, T11? T11.
Yeah.
So he's only 7 back. Anybody can make up 7 shots in 4 days, except for you. So I would go. Yeah, no problem. I would definitely go. Ricky Fowler would be one of them. I'd go with Cantley as another one. But my main pick, based on how the year has gone and how 2 of the top 3 guys are screwing around with putters, I'm going with my main man, Jon Rahm. He's my pick. That's my guy. He's going to win the Tour Championship, and he's winning the FedEx Cup. That's my guy.
It's a strong play. I like that. So my 3 picks. Number 1, first and foremost, and this is actually my guy to win this week. I'm going Xander Schauffele. Starts T11. Like you said, can make 7 shots up pretty quick. Has been in solid form because the top of the pack has been screwing around with their putter. I think really the biggest competition for him is going to wind up being Viktor Hovland and Jon Rahm. I think Glover's going to fall out pretty quickly. I think Scheffler and Rory are going to struggle a little bit to keep the putter going, despite the idea that Scotty Scheffler has actually had really good strokes gain tee to green numbers, particularly also on the green has been where he's kind of shined in his tee to green game. I'm actually pretty confident that Scheffler will, in fact, be in contention. Who's another guy who I will wind up taking? It's the obvious choice here, already starting at 10 under. But the biggest part for Scotty Scheffler this week is just to maintain. And even with a bad putter or a trying putter that he's been figuring out, he's still averaging a 4 under score. So bogey avoidance is going to be the key to Scotty Scheffler. His proximity game has been great this year. I think Scotty's is a solid bet. My 3rd guy is Max Homa. I already have him for top 5, but I'm confident enough that he can go even higher. I think Cantlay is his biggest competition at guys who are there at 4 under. But I just think Max Homa is just so legit, and this is going to be the icing on the cake if he finishes really well going into the Ryder Cup. The momentum just shooting up so high. But I think the edge for Xander, going back to what I was saying, is he's won here before. He knows the course really well. He's played here for the last 6 years. There's something about course knowledge and the ability to get around this property and do it well in scoring average that makes Xander so good. He's a scoring average of 67.2, which is the best out of anybody in this field with more than 5 appearances at East Lake. I think that's a really good number for Xander. He always manages to play well here, can make up 7 shots in a hurry, and his strokes gained tee to green has been off the rails the last 5 weeks. So I love Xander to win this week and take home yet another FedEx Cup title. And nice little $18 million check would not be a bad win either. Final thoughts, Ben?
Well, I'm clearly the superior golfer between the two of us. Next time I'll have to give you like 30 shots. Just
I would hope you are, honestly.
Next time I'm just gonna.
I would really hope you are this superior golfer.
Would you just shut up and let me speak? Thank you. This is my time.
Fuck
you asked
you.
me the question. Nope. No, thank you. Not interested. Save that for your lovely fiance. Anyway, obviously I am the superior golfer. Maybe I should give you about 30 shots next time just so you can have like a chance, just a chance. But, Steven I got in his kitchen yesterday and he couldn't hang. It's unfortunate. Obviously, like, comment, and subscribe, please. That's always greatly appreciated. Helps me out, helps Steven out, helps KB out, helps all of us at the Underground out, actually. So if you could please do that, that would be fantastic. It's been a very exciting year. I'm happy to be back on. It's been a fun summer. I'm looking forward to a fun fall. I'm looking forward to seeing who wins this week, John Rahm. And looking forward to seeing potentially some drama at the Ryder Cup, maybe some chirping if we get some of the head-to-head matches that I think the fans deserve. Oh, that could be so much fun. But anyway, what a great year. Tons of storylines. Is this it for Tiger? Are Liv and the PGA Tour actually going to join? And are we actually going to see Steven break 90 ever in front of me? Those are serious questions. That's all I got.
I've broken 90 like 6 times.
Yeah.
I once shot an 85 at Rock Hill.
Yeah, playing from the 150 markers doesn't count. But anyway.
Yeah. Playing for the tips, but thank you. I basically exclusively play from the tips unless it's like longer than like 6,800 yards.
You didn't want to play from the tips yesterday.
I didn't realize how short the course was.
Okay.
I'm actually going to be nice to you. It was a very interesting year. For those of you who have been following along the podcast forever, I've ran through my third co-host, and now I'm just like I want to thank Jake, who I had for the first half of the year and on. Really great guy. Unfortunately, law school and his personal life got in the way of things, so he took a leave. But he was a great co-host. I really enjoyed him on. He gave a lot of really good analysis through a trying time where trying to pick apart this whole like live PGA drama as somebody who studies law to give insights in that area was really impactful for the show. But as they always say, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And if you love them, you let them go. And if they really love you back, they'll come back. And that's why Ben's back.
I don't do it all, but okay.
I know you don't. I'm trying to make a nice figure of speech. No, you coming back's been a really good add-on to the show. We had a lot of really good substance when you first took over co-hosting duties, and now to have you back on, it's really been a nice past few months. I'm looking forward to next season. Looking forward to a really good fall. The Ryder Cup's going to be great. Hopefully I'll come down to Florida and we'll be able to play some more golf, develop some more content. We have a lot of different ideas in the pipeline, so a lot of different things to do, especially as you go and head off to your new horizons, start off Q school soon enough, and we'll see you climb all the way to the KFT, hopefully by the end of the year.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic when that happens, because I like to speak, not to sound arrogant, but I do like to speak things into existence. No, I really do. I really do like to speak things into existence. And when I do get my Corn Ferry card, I will still be doing this as a co-host.
Thank you.
Don't have to worry about me jumping ship and leaving Steven in the dust or anything, even though it can be very tempting at times. No, but in all seriousness, I know we joke around a lot. You're a fantastic co-host to have. You might drive me crazy sometimes, but I know I drive you crazy, so we balance each other out in a healthy way. You do so much for the show, man. I mean, when people ask me what I do with this, I literally say, I have the easiest job in the world. I just show up and speak. It's literally what I do.
You're not wrong.
I know. Like, hey, it's important to know your role, right? And like, I know my role. My role is to literally show up and to provide insight from a professional's point of view. You do a lot of work as far as, you know, the kind of like the scheduling of the content for each show and getting the graphics all together and all that stuff. And obviously KB who is huge. Like, KB has like, I feel bad for him sometimes with like how much stuff he has going on, you know, because he has so much on his plate. I mean, I have the easiest job in the world. I get to show up and just open my big fat mouth and speak. Like, it's pretty.
And you
easy.
love to speak.
I do love to speak, and you like
love to speak.
Yeah, you're interrupting me again. We're gonna fix this going into next year. We're gonna fix this.
Have you not learned that I do this on purpose?
Yeah, I know you do it on purpose, you dick, but I don't care.
Thank you. No, I really do appreciate it. All right, folks. With that being said, that's been Pirro and Steve McAvoy. Like, subscribe, follow us, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Definitely on the YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Please like, follow us, subscribe to us, comment on us, talk to us, give us more content to work on. Tell us what you want to see. From the pros' perspective, we have a nice little play a hole with Ben from yesterday. Really, really impressive hole from him. We'll have that up on the social soon. But until then, enjoy the Tour Championship. We'll see you guys soon. Probably a show next week. We'll break down the end of the year. Probably talk a little bit of Ryder Cup. So don't go anywhere. We will see you then. And enjoy it all, folks. The final leg this week. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time, and remember, get in the hole!